And welcome into the Paul Farrington Show, our Tuesday edition of the Paul Farrington Show. Paul joined alongside Robert Ziggy Ziegler in beautiful Claremont, California. Sunny and 85, just heaven over there. Zach Bloomquist, the best executive producer in the game, is along with me in New Jersey, a rainy, thunderstorm New Jersey. We have a lot of rain this week, Ziggy. It has not been the best weather over here on the East Coast.
I got an email from my power provider in Virginia saying, caution, extreme storm. You're likely to lose power. And I'm just sitting back here chilling like, all right, maybe we'll eat dinner outside on the patio tonight.
Son of a bitch.
Might go for a nice little hike in the morning. Go down to the beach if I want.
We only have so many months, so many days of this warm weather that every rainy day it's kind of sad because we already had our longest day of the year. It's getting shorter from here, and soon enough it'll be fall and winter. But that does bring along the NFL season. Happy birthday, Ziggy, to your father, Mr. Ziegler, and Andrew's mom as well, Mrs. Keenan. They celebrate their birthdays today. Perhaps an episode dedicated to them. So happy birthday to Mr. Ziegler out in sunny Claremont, California.
I was just going to say, Paul, speaking of Mr. Ziegler, in case you think it's all sunshine and rainbows here, my dad this weekend was surfing and then got stung by a stingray.
Oh, geez. I was going to say, I've seen a lot of Instagram reels lately and stories about these shark attacks and things. I was like, oh, please tell me you didn't see a shark out there. That's one thing I would not, as I've gotten older, I don't know why. Usually you're scared of sharks when you're younger. But now when I go out in the ocean, I don't like going past my waist, really. That's like the furthest I'm comfortable going out. Sharks are becoming a bigger fear of mine.
But apparently Jaws, the shark from Jaws is not an iconic villain. So what are you going to do?
Oh, look, I was with you on that. I thought that was great. If you're enjoying these videos, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We have such a great time doing these. We were saying right before we started, we always find a way to start a little later. And when we were sitting down here before, we're like, all right, look, we're 15 minutes late. And then we realized that we were just sitting here chatting the whole time. Like we love doing these videos. So if you're enjoying them, please let us know in the comments section. If you hate them, let us know in the comment section. That's fine. We can handle some hate. We've had some great hate comments before. If you can top some of our best ones, we all have to go through and find a few of our best hate comments. But please,
creative insults only.
Yeah, creative insults are great. I love. I think like dork has been a good. We've had like dork before. We've had like rock
stamp
choppers.
collector.
We had some good. Stamp collector was a good one. But we're really excited for today's show. We'll have the pressure meter. We're going to tell you which teams are under the most pressure in 2023. Zach, your Miami Dolphins might be on that list. I'll give a top 10 list there. Jamar Chase and Travis Kelce, they're going back and forth. A little banter on Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. Maybe some poking the bear from Jamar Chase. We'll tell you whether or not what he said is worth firing up the defending league MVP. But I want to start with this. The funniest thing I saw today, Ziggy, I was on Twitter. I saw Packers guard Elton Jenkins. He said, quote, "We feel like we're the best team in our division." Not sure if you saw that, but a lot of reasons for different teams to be confident in the NFC North. And I sat back and looked at it. And of course, as a Vikings fan, I kind of just disregarded it. I think the Packers are bad. But I just sat back and started thinking, there are so many teams. Like, of the 4 teams in the NFC North, I have heard each fan base at different points say, oh, we are the best team for various reasons. There's so much delusion in the NFC North because really, are any of these teams that good? I don't know. But I'm just looking at over all 4 teams. The Packers, they're so used to whooping ass that they have no idea what it's like going from a Hall of Fame quarterback to anyone other than a Hall of Fame quarterback. At least most Packers fans, for 30 years now, haven't realized that. I think they're forgetting just how great the impact of Aaron Rodgers, because in years when he's been hurt, they are instantly irrelevant. Immediately, their season is down the toilet. They're a laughingstock in the league, 6-12-1 since 2008 when Rodgers isn't there. We're just hearing them say, don't count us out. You've been horrible without Aaron Rodgers. Delusion there. The Lions. These guys are saying they're favorites to win the division. Very talented roster. You can't ignore 8-2, but they were 1-6 to start last season. And can you name me the last time they won the NFC North, Ziggy?
Didn't the Buccaneers win the NFC North more recently than them?
The Lions haven't won the NFC North. They haven't won.
Wait, they haven't won the NFC North?
The NFC North has been around since 2002. So you're right on. The NFC Central was around with the Buccaneers. The Bucs won that in 1999. The Lions' last division victory was in 1993. We're 30 years since the Detroit Lions division championship. The Buccaneers, who don't even exist in the division anymore, have won the championship more recently. So when I look at the Lions right now and all their fans who are getting excited, I get it. You're very talented. But you haven't ever won the division, so I'm not buying that. The Vikings, speaking of ghosts, speaking of cursed franchises, no one's more haunted than them in all of sports. And here you see me and you, Ziggy. We're saying Kirk Cousins, top 10 quarterback in the league. We have one of the worst defenses in the NFL, but me and you are right here saying Brian Flores is going to come in and magically fix everything. I can't help but say I am delusional as well. And then that blows us over to the Windy City in Chicago, where I have to listen to Bears fans tell me that Justin Fields and his 60.4% completion percentage is about to take over this division. And it checks out because the golden boy of this franchise at quarterback has been Jay Cutler for most living Bears fans. The only ones you'll find who are saying, no. Sid Luckman back in the 1940s. You're 80 years old if you've seen anything better than Jay Cutler in a Bears uniform. So I look over top to bottom NFC North. Lions delusion, Packers delusion, Vikings delusion, Bears delusion. All of us are just living in this fantasy world in the offseason, but that's what makes the NFL so much fun, is that we can banter like this and actually believe it.
People sometimes ask me, Paul, whether I regret switching from a Rams fan to a Vikings fan. This was like right in the middle of the 2022 seasons. The Rams were gearing up for the Super Bowl run. And, I knew they were winning that year. So why would I ever switch to being a Vikings fan? The most fun thing in sports isn't winning. People think that's the most fun thing. It's not. The most fun thing in sports is delusional hope. And the NFC North, more than any other division in football, I think is full of people with that kind of hope. Especially now, the Lions fans used to just be miserable every year. Now they've got a little bit of hope going on. The NFC North, find me a more delusional division. I mean, maybe you can look at the AFC East. Maybe.
That's up there. But yeah.
But at least Patriots fans aren't delusional when they think their team's going to be good. Right? Besides that, Packers 2012 Super Bowl, we are not looking at a whole lot of success from this division.
I can't tell you what it would even feel like to win. I have no idea. So delusional hope, that is the only thing I have going for me, at least as a Vikings fan. But I just thought that was funny because every team, I've heard every single fan of each of those teams say, oh yeah, we should really be the favorites to win this year. I'm like, what? And then I realized that me and you are just another one of those people. So NFC North.
Any of those teams could.
Look, I dislike many of them, but there is a certain brotherhood to it in the black and blue division, and we're gonna have to survive together this season for better or worse. Who knows how it'll go.
You know why you have delusional hope about the Vikings, Paul?
Why? Oh, because I have Kirk Cousins as the ninth.
Yes, because you have Kirk Cousins as an above-average quarterback when he's just as average as he can get.
No, that's not the delusion. The delusion is my Justin Fields, DJ Moore, top 5 QB receiver duo take.
Yeah, I mean, we might be leading the charge of NFC delusion, or NFC North delusion. So, look, who knows? Maybe it'll be a good conference or a good division in the league this year. We'll have to find out. The pressure meter. So here's how this is going to go. I made a list of the top 10 teams in the NFL with the most pressure on them heading into 2023. I'm going to give that list and a brief reason, maybe 10 seconds on each team. And Ziggy, being maybe the most knowledgeable guy in the world on the NFL, is going to tell me whether or not he likes that list, what he thinks, if there's some teams that are missing perhaps. So let's get into this list. I wish we had. It's too bad we don't have some music that we could cue over this, but we're not at that level yet. We're on our way.
I mean, we could.
We could. Maybe we will. Maybe I'll add something.
I just don't know what song you would like me to play.
We're
Do you
good.
have a certain song in mind?
No, it would be more of a
Rocky?
beat. No. It would be more of like a beat. But you know what? It's fine. I'll add something in. We'll have Zach do that. Okay, coming in at number 10, team I just mentioned, the Detroit Lions. A lot of people might not expect them to have too much pressure on them, but like I said, they've never won the NFC North. That last title was 1993. And they ended last year 8-2. So you look at this team and there are glaring weaknesses around the rest of the division, but the Lions are slowly piecing it together. That bad defense from last season played well towards the end of the year, got a lot better this offseason. They rarely have their moments in the sun, but if Jared Goff plays well, this team is the most talented in the division, and they have a chance to do something that they've never done in winning the NFC North. I think the pressure's on Detroit right now to get the job done before the Bears or the Vikings or maybe even the Packers get back up to where they normally are competing for the division.
I think you can tell the pressure's on them because of the decisions they made in the draft, right? Mm-hmm. They've been getting a lot of hate, and I think fairly so, for taking a running back and an off-ball linebacker. But those are the two positions that are most ready for players to contribute to the NFL immediately. So I think, fans are fed up. They finally see an opportunity. And it's weird because if this team were building more slowly, it's not like that should be a problem. Like, it's not like they have a huge salary cap crunch coming soon or an aging quarterback or the kinds of things that traditionally drive pressure. But the fans are just so excited for this team to do well.
Oh, it was such a quick flip. 1-6 to 8-2. You just don't normally see that, especially for a team like Detroit. Normally they start off 1-6, and you're looking at a 2-14, 2-15 kind of a season. So there's reason to be excited, but I do think that leads to a lot more pressure now on Jared Goff, on Dan Campbell, and we'll see what happens there in Detroit. Number 9, Zach, your Miami Dolphins. And what's unique to this situation is their biggest concern is Tua's availability. It's not really going to come down to the play, because I believe when Tua's on the field, this Dolphins team is really, really good. One of the most talented teams on paper as well in the NFL. You have Mike McDaniel. Everyone's calling him a boy genius. Bring in Vic Fangio, who's one of the best D coordinators in football. That was arguably their biggest move of the offseason. And then they go and get Jalen Ramsey, which shows this team, they are all in. So the Miami Dolphins at 9, the pressure's on Tua to be able to stay healthy the entire season. And then you're looking at a team, a real dark horse contender to win the Super Bowl. I think that this team is phenomenal.
They're phenomenal, but they're all in on this year, right? Mm-hmm. Next year, they're projected to be $30 million over the salary cap. You can do some restructures, you can do some trades, but this is a team that's really trying to compete now. I think they smell blood in the water. Right, the Jets, they've got Aaron Rodgers, but they usually suck. The Patriots don't have their stranglehold.
That's a great line.
The Bills looked vulnerable last year, right? You saw some chinks in the armor. So I think if you're the Dolphins, they've got all these stars, but they're starting to get older. They've got a lot of players who want contracts, right? Is Tua going to be happy playing next year without a big contract? We don't know. Will Jalen Ramsey want more money? We don't know. Jalen Waddle is starting to come up in line, right? So you've got a lot of big paydays due very soon. I think this team should be even higher. There's a lot of pressure on them to win this year, and I don't know how they're going to be better next year than this year.
That's a great point with all that's going on going into next offseason. A lot of people do have them higher on that list. At number 8, I have the Denver Broncos. So much hype a season ago, bringing in Russell Wilson. Arguably the most disappointing team in the league, finishing 5-12. Defense was great. Remember, they win 10 games last year if they average 20 points per game. But the offense just really, for lack of a better word, it just sucked. And that's why Sean Payton comes in, hoping to fix those problems. But if Wilson, if he flops again, he might be out of Denver soon. They'll find a way to get him out. I think there's a lot of pressure on Denver to turn it around quick in 2023.
I think there's a lot of pressure on Russell Wilson. You're right, but I don't think there's a lot of pressure on Denver, right? The fans have really soured on the Russell Wilson trade, which on the one hand, you're a Broncos fan, you're sad, but they're not expecting much. And I don't think anyone's expecting a whole lot from this team except maybe a fringe playoff run. So if Russell Wilson really stinks next year, I think Broncos fans are going to be happy. Lose a bunch of games, get yourself a new quarterback prospect.
Okay, so
I get that it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but no, I wouldn't have them. I think this might be a bottom 10 team in terms of pressure. I think no one is expecting very much from them this year. And it's going to be easy for the Broncos just to let loose, play some football, and if things suck, blow it up. They have all their draft picks now for the future.
I guess. You think Sean Payton went there with the thought of this becoming a project, though? I'm thinking he thinks he can turn around Russell Wilson.
Yeah, but if he can't, so what? He's getting paid a bunch of money and he's not getting
Fair
fired.
Enough. People love living in Denver, too. Everyone I know within the sports world who has gone to Denver, Zach's over here saying, yeah, you just get high out there and relax and have fun. But I think there's pressure. You think no pressure. The 7th team on this list, the Baltimore Ravens. We brought them up a few weeks ago. Since 2018, the Ravens have one playoff win. That's the same as the Jaguars, the Texans, and the Browns. And you'd think when you watch them play, look, Lamar's 45-16 in the regular season. they've been a great regular season team. Lamar is one of the best seasons we've seen from a quarterback in recent memory back in 2019 when he won MVP, but they're only 1-3 in the playoffs. And now he's the highest paid player in the history of football. So he needs to live up to that contract. That means postseason success in Baltimore with John Harbaugh. There's a lot of pressure. This team could have even been a little higher, I think, on the list. But I have them at 7.
Yeah, what's the theme of Baltimore going to be this year? I think here's the answer. No excuses. Lamar hasn't had weapons. Well, now he does. They've signed Odell. They've drafted him another first-round receiver. Offensive coordinator sucks. Well, we pushed him out and brought in Todd Monken, one of the most exciting offensive coordinators in college football last year. Harbaugh's game management has been a problem. Okay, well, this year he's got to fix it. So I think everybody has sort of seen that the Ravens have the talent and the opportunity, but they're keeping excuses. Lamar gets hurt, not enough weapons, bad coaching. And every single one of those excuses is gone. Baltimore fans are hungry, right? They're seeing this big contract given to Lamar. And, they're excited to have him around, but you might think, what has he done to deserve it? He's got as many QB wins as Blake Bortles in the playoffs. Actually, quite a few fewer than Blake Bortles in the playoffs. It's like, who's this guy? So I don't know. I think there's a lot to be nervous about for the Ravens here. So, yeah, I think there is a lot of pressure.
Oh, it's
finally Lamar's time to step up.
Yeah, they need to win some games. And you can't just look at, I don't want to spoil any picks, so I'll save this, what I was about to say, for a little bit later. Number 6, I have the San Francisco 49ers. This is a team, they've been good for so many years now. NFC Championship games, a Super Bowl appearance. You just start to wonder at some point, are they one of those teams that can't bust down the door? Kyle Shanahan, everyone agrees, one of the best coaches in football. And yeah, they've had a lot of problems at the quarterback position. They've done an amazing job given the injuries and everything that's gone on there. But at some point, they start to get older. The team around, as great as that team is that Shanahan's developed, Trent Williams is getting older. George Kittle's getting older. These guys, you wonder how long they can keep it together. McCaffrey, we know he gets hurt all the time. Can he stay healthy for a full season? A lot of great talent in San Francisco. At what point does that start to fade? You have a great opportunity right now in a weak NFC to go and get to the Super Bowl again. I think there's a lot of pressure on San Francisco to get the job done. Hopefully Brock Purdy is healthy at the start of the season.
On the one hand, you might think you have a lot of pressure because the team's getting older. On the other hand, you've got a rookie quarterback who looks really excellent. That does a lot to alleviate the pressure.
Yes.
Right? Because if San Francisco sucks this year, so long as Brock Purdy looks good, you're going to be an NFC contender every single year if he can play like he played last year. And, wide receivers, you can get yourself a wide receiver, right? You can go buy Tyreek Hill if you want to. Tight end, even like left tackle, a couple first-round picks can fill you in that position. The main driver of pressure is quarterback. And, we haven't seen enough from Purdy to be confident crowning him an elite player. But if he puts together another great season, like I think he will, I don't think this team has a lot to worry about. You look like the Chiefs, right? They're the Super Bowl favorites this year. If you were to turn their plus 650, turn that into a percentage, they'd have about a 14.5% chance of winning the Super Bowl. That means mathematically you only expect them to win 1 out of every 7 years. So it's just an unrealistic expectation for a team to go in and win a Super Bowl. If you keep competing at a high level, right, keep making NFC Championship games, keep winning playoffs, the pressure goes way down.
Okay, and I do think you brought up a great point there with Purdy. That's the big question is once all the talent that you see on San Francisco, again, they're at a probably a top 3 roster around quarterback in the NFL right now. As that starts to fade over the coming years, you have to imagine it will. Is Purdy just a system quarterback like they always say in San Francisco? Is he someone who just fits perfectly with Shanahan? Or is he going to be a guy who elevates the team around him? That's something we'll find out this season. But great points there again on the 49ers. Top 5 now. At number 5,
that's what gets exciting.
The Los Angeles Chargers. 3rd biggest postseason collapse in NFL history after blowing the 27-0 lead against Jacksonville. They haven't won a division since 2009. Zach, they were in San Diego. The Los Angeles Chargers have not won a division. It's been 7 straight years of Kansas City. Before that, Denver won it for multiple years in a row. This team, there's been a lot of hype around Justin Herbert, especially after he broke out and won offensive rookie of the year during his rookie season. And really the entire time, it just feels like they live in the Chiefs' shadow. And I understand that the Chiefs, this is what I was getting at before. Like the Ravens as well, they live in the Bengals shadow right now. As great as the Chiefs are, as great as the Bengals are, at some point, the Ravens and Chargers are really good teams. You got to go and you just got to beat them. You got to find a way to win that division because the Chargers, look, it's been very disappointing if I were a Charger fan over the past few years, despite the talent on the team. They need to win now because Brandon Staley is facing a lot of pressure. He individually might be the coach with the most pressure on him in 2023. There's a lot of pressure on the Chargers.
If they don't win multiple playoff games, Staley's fired. Just straight up. And look, you talk about the Chiefs and the Bengals, and fair enough, but the fact is those teams are beatable. Admittedly, we've only ever seen them beat each other, basically, in the playoffs, but those teams are beatable. And when you've got a golden boy quarterback, and Justin Herbert, I think, really is all that. When you've got an elite quarterback, most people have him as a top 5, if not top 7 quarterback in the league. You have to be able to win playoff games, and you certainly can't choke giant leads to the Jacksonville
27-0 leads to the Jaguars. Jaguars are a hot up-and-coming team. You can't. I was actually with someone who bet the Chargers I think they were -6.5 or something like that at the time. And maybe -3. I don't know what he had the Chargers. And every single time I have to place the bet for this person because he lives in a state where you can't go on FanDuel. So I placed the bet. I'm like, okay, let's see how it goes. And every time he loses in heartbreaking fashion. So up 27-0. I'm on the phone. I'm just like, yeah, you have to have this one in the bag, right? And he's just like, damn it, I wish I threw another few hundred on it. And as the game's going on, you just see the life in his eyes start to slowly fade. It was so sad watching that, but it was just an unbelievable collapse. And the Chargers, that's what they do. They blow games. So at some point, there's going to be consequences for that. This could be the season we finally see it, like you said.
Yeah. There's zero patience in Los Angeles right now for anything other than multiple playoff wins. I'm not sure how many coaches there are where if you don't win multiple playoff games, you're for sure getting fired.
You really think
Staley is.
You really think that they get to the divisional round and lose a close game? Staley's gone?
Yeah.
Fair
I
enough.
think there's zero patience.
Fair enough. All right, number 4 on the list are the Dallas Cowboys. One of the best defenses in the league. What I've said many times, arguably the best player in the league, and Micah Parsons. Great weapons all over the field. Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb. They brought in Brandon Cooks. Stud offensive line. It's all on the shoulders now of Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy. He'll be calling plays this year. But Dak, last year he missed 5 games, and he still was tied for the league lead in interceptions. He had 15. It's just inexcusable. He had moments where he looked like the old Dak, but you can't turn the ball over that many times. It's on paper a team that's capable of being stacked up with the Eagles and the 49ers, but every year when we see them play, they're losing these games. So finally, I believe this is the year now. I don't know if there's any big consequences of losing or not making a deep playoff run, but it just feels like there's been mounting pressure for a while. And of course, they're the Dallas Cowboys. There's always going to be pressure. But now, again, the NFC, wide open. You're definitely a top 3 team. Go get a win. Go get some big playoff wins.
Yeah, Cowboys fans have been struggling for a while, right? Every single year, it seems, they're like the off-season darling. And it's not because of bias, right? I mean, Dak Prescott, although he's coming off the worst year of his career, has otherwise been an excellent quarterback. They've got offensive weapons. They've got defensive weapons. They have at least someone who should be a competent coach in Mike McCarthy. But they've got to win some playoff games. I don't know. I'm not sure it has to be a Super Bowl this year, but I think if you're a Cowboys fan, you really want this team to make at least the championship game.
Yeah, they rarely get there. I can't remember the last time they got there.
Who's the competition? San Francisco of the injured quarterback, the Philadelphia Eagles with Jalen Hurts. I mean, you've got 1 or 2 real competitive teams with you in the NFC. The Detroit Lions.
Yeah, no, they are 100% the 3. And if the 49ers have quarterback issues, probably the 2 behind Philly. Number 3, the Cleveland Browns. 5 years, $230 million. That's your pressure right there. It's Kevin Stefanski. They got to the playoffs with him. Regress. At some point now, they're all in. They brought in Zadarius Smith, Dalvin Tomlinson. They have Juan Thornhill now at safety, Elijah Moore. They made a bunch of moves this offseason to try and bolster that roster. I'm willing to give a pass to Deshaun Watson last year. He missed 11 games. He just wasn't there enough. In 6 games that he played, he didn't look that good, but I'm willing to give him the whole offseason now. There's less scrutiny around him. There's not as many legal issues. The defense also regressed or played worse than expected last year. I think they'll take a step up. But Stefanski, he's someone who I really think if they don't get to the playoffs, he's gone for sure.
Indeed. And, Browns fans got a little too big for their britches.
Yeah.
Right? They absolutely obliterate Jack's Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs. They think, all right, we're ready to go to the big boys table. Then, they trade for the elite quarterback. They think, all right, now ready to go eat at the big boys table. And still, they're the laughing stock of the NFC or the AFC, excuse me. It's a tough time to be a Browns fan.
Oh, it's always.
And yeah,
it's always. The Browns and the Lions, it's always tough for them. But again, they have expectations now this year. There's pressure on them. Number 2.
Yeah, if they can't,
go.
Go. I was going to say, that actually might be another team where multiple playoff wins are needed to keep the same people in place. Because you have to maximize Deshaun Watson while you can. You have to maximize it while you can. If you don't think Stefanski's that guy, he's not that guy.
I never thought he was. In Minnesota, I thought he was underwhelming. I was surprised with all the hype in Cleveland. I get that he had a great season, but I'm not a big Kevin Stefanski guy myself. Number 2 here, the New York Jets. This one, it all comes down to the talent on the roster and whether or not they can capitalize on it with 2 years of Aaron Rodgers, because that's probably what you're looking at is a two-year stretch now where you're going to have one of the most talented rosters in the NFL, and can the former 3-time MVP, I believe, Aaron Rodgers, 2 of the past 3 at least for sure, maybe 4. I think Rodgers has won 4. Two of the past 3 MVPs have gone to Rodgers. Can he play at that level with all the talent around him? It's the best chance the Jets have had since Vinny Testaverde went down 25 years ago or whatever. So I think the Jets, they're the most time restricted team here in terms of you're going to have a great roster, but clock is ticking.
Yeah, even next year is going to be a little bit tricky for them. They're currently projected with some reasonable adjustments to the Aaron Rodgers cap to be $50 million over the cap next year. This is an expensive team. And if things go really poorly for Aaron Rodgers, right, things are miserable in New York, he'll just quit. Right? It's not like the dude needs the money. I'm not confident that if things go really poorly, he's going to come back. Fans are ready to finally see them win. Right? You talked about the Lions having a track record of misery. Fair enough. But the Jets aren't doing a whole lot better.
Mm-hmm.
The fans want results now. Aaron Rodgers is there. It's finally their time. And even just a slow start to the season. Right? We've talked about how hard their schedule is.
How tough it is. Yeah.
I don't know of a team in the NFL that has more pressure over their first 5 games next year. And yet anything other than a deep playoff run, given all that the Jets gave up to make this happen, huge disappointment.
And despite all the sunshine and rainbows that you're hearing from Jets practices, Rodgers seems like the happiest guy in the world. He's skipping around practice with Zach Wilson, all smiles on everyone's faces. If you go back to 2011, you were thinking about a quarterback who was going to walk away from the game with maybe 3 Super Bowls. There's pressure on him legacy-wise. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers cares about that at all. He might, secret inside.
Oh, he does.
You think he would. Outwardly, he's going to say he doesn't, but you have to think internally Aaron Rodgers is extremely driven, extremely driven from a legacy standpoint as well. Look, this is your chance right here. You got 2 years now. Pressure's on the Jets. The pressure's on Aaron Rodgers as well. They're number 2.
And let's be real here. 1 Jets Super Bowl is worth 3 regular Super Bowls.
Yeah.
If he can get this Jets team a Super Bowl, he's going in the Ring of Honor. His Hall of Fame bus is going to mention how he was the second one since Joe Namath.
There's a statue of Aaron Rodgers if they win a Super Bowl outside of MetLife Stadium. All right. Number 1, the Buffalo Bills. A lot of us probably saw this coming. Wasn't that long ago that we were talking about the Bills and Chiefs running the AFC for years and years to come. The Bengals have sort of slid into that slot that Buffalo was occupying. But think about it. It's a year and a half ago, there was the 13-second game. We were looking at Josh Allen and Mahomes in one of the best quarterback duels in the history of the NFL playoffs. And people walked away from that game saying, this Buffalo team, they're next. And last year at the start of the season, boy, it definitely looked like they were next. They were just mauling people. And then you saw... And a lot of people, I feel like I said this before, a lot of people are treating Josh Allen unfairly right now, playing with a torn UCL for a lot of last year. The defense got banged up all over the place, secondary, defensive line. So this Buffalo team, it's crazy how quickly things can change in the NFL, where a year and a half ago they were going to be the big contender for years to come. And now you're looking at them saying, all right, they're getting a little older. Stephon Diggs is unhappy. We know what happens with him when he starts to get pissed off. And Josh Allen, he regressed a little last year. How much of that was because of injury? They got to answer some questions. They lost a big home playoff game to the Bengals last year. And if they can't knock down Kansas City or Cincinnati at some point, you got to take them out of the big three and just call it a big two in the AFC. They need to win now.
They do. Again, I keep talking about salary cap in 2024. Bills projected to be about 25 million over. But, I've said this a few times this offseason. This Bills team is a team without a lot of avenues to improve. They just can't get rid of Stephon Diggs, even if they want to. Von Miller's owed a lot of money for the next couple of years, right? They just do not have the cap space or the assets to be able to get one more big splashy player. What they have is basically what they'll be able to work with. And if they can't make it work with this, you have to start wondering whether they'll ever be able to win a Super Bowl in the Josh Allen era.
I do believe that they can win with the team they have right now.
Oh, they are, but this is probably going to be their best opportunity.
No. Don't even say that.
This is where Zach, we were saying right before the show how Zach's microphone just sounded really good today, and it might be a Zach show, but this is not the topic of discussion we want to turn into the Zach show.
What do you mean? He can't carry the team now. He's not going to carry it another year older.
If you can't tell, Zach is not a fan. The Dolphin fan is not a fan of Josh Allen or Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. But yeah, I agree. The Bills, to me, are the number one team with the most pressure on them.
And I'll just say, I think this is why I think the AFC East is going to be the most interesting division next year. Three of the top three teams in our top 10 most pressure were in that division.
Yeah.
And frankly, it wouldn't be crazy to include the Patriots, right? They had a really miserable season last year. Bill Belichick, coming off an extremely disappointing season. This could be one of his last years. He's trying to get the all-time win record. They're trying to make things work with Mac Jones. Like this division, every single team has a lot of pressure to win multiple playoff games. And then you factor in that one of them's missing the playoffs, maybe even two. There's going to be a lot of drama going on in the AFC.
I think probably two. I had New England as one of my teams out. The Bengals and Eagles were there, but it's kind of a different pressure. I think that they're built to last for quite a while now. And then I also had the Vikings in there, but I'm anticipating
we suck. Yeah, there's no pressure.
I'm anticipating them blowing it up soon. Was there anyone in particular, other than maybe New England, like you were saying, that you think I left out, or generally did you like the list?
No, I think those are basically the teams. If you wanted to include one more team, I think you'd have to think about the Los Angeles Rams, sort of as they're near the end of that window closing. Stafford, Kupp, Donald, all getting older. But it seems like the expectations just aren't there for that team. They have the third lowest win total in the NFL. People aren't expecting a lot from them. That's the only reason they're not on this list. But otherwise, in-house, they must be feeling a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people rank them as one of the teams with the most pressure on them. But just when I look over that entire roster, defense is pretty bad. A lot of people have them as the worst defense in the NFL, or one of them, going into next season. I just don't think, even with Matthew Stafford, if he comes back fully healthy, Cooper Kupp, like, there are good players. There's some star power on that team, but I can't really put them on the same level as any of these other teams, given the expectations and really what I expect to happen. I think they're going to be maybe not like a 3-win team, but probably fall into that like 5 to 7 win range. So I just, no expectations for the Rams for me. But there you go. There's your top 10 list. 10 the Lions, 9 the Dolphins, 8 Broncos, 7 Ravens, 6 49ers, 5 Chargers, 4 Cowboys, 3 Browns, 2 the New York Jets, and 1 the Buffalo Bills. There is your pressure meter. We got a couple more topics here before we head out. And we're going to do a blind ranking of ice creams. I'm very excited for that because Zach and Ziggy, ice cream masters, very, very knowledgeable. Great palates on these two guys right here. They're going to blind rank 5 ice cream flavors, 1 to 5. We'll see how they do. But before that, we said Jamar Chase pokes the bear. And what did you say, Ziggy? The Bears choke. The Jamar Chase pokes the Bears choke. Joe Burrow said that Patrick Mahomes had to be considered the best quarterback in the NFL. When asked his
only sane take.
Yeah, which is very reasonable. I mean, that's probably true from Burrow. When asked his thoughts on Burrow's comments, Jamar Chase said, "Pat who?" So obviously, some Kansas City people took a little offense to that. Travis Kelce, I thought he had a great response on his New Heights podcast, said, it is what it is, dog. Who doesn't love some good locker room banter, man? Shout out to Jamar for holding it down for his QB, but don't you ever disrespect Patrick Mahomes now. If you want to talk your shit, talk your shit. If you want to talk your shit, pimp. Just better back it up. I love that response from Travis. And to Chase, I'd say, why are you poking the bear, man? The Chiefs are a fat cat right now. Just let them enjoy their Super Bowl win and try and catch them when they're not looking. That team though, they're always ready. I just don't see a reason to give fuel to the fire, especially when that fire is Patrick Mahomes. There are certain guys that you just don't mess with in the league. I think all of this is generally rather irrelevant, but in terms of the Kansas City-Cincinnati rivalry, I love Jamar taking some shots, but oof, I'd be a little hesitant to go at the king.
If you were playing an NFL game of never have I ever not hosted the AFC Championship game, Patrick Mahomes could not raise his hand. Every single year he has played, he has hosted the AFC Championship game. And look, the Bengals beat him once in Arrowhead in the playoffs. Good for them. But the fact is when you're counting rings, and rings are ultimately what matters to a discussion like this, Patrick Mahomes has 2. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have 0.
Yep.
They had their chance. They couldn't take advantage of it. So I love the rivalry, right? And the fact is the Bengals are one of the only teams that can actually compete with the Chiefs anywhere, right? You go into Arrowhead, this Bengals team, they're no more than 3 or 4 point dogs. They can absolutely
and that's not the
play.
case for basically the entire league.
Any other team in the NFL.
Teams. Yeah. Joe Burrow is good enough with that roster around him. They can go in there and win that. We've seen him. Like you said, we've seen him go in there and win that. Like you said, I love what this rivalry is becoming with Burrowhead. It might be the best one in football at the moment right now, really. It's
imagine going back in 2011 and you hear that like the biggest rivalry that's going to be NFL defining for half a decade is Bengals Chiefs with the 2 most exciting quarterbacks in the NFL.
So yeah, there you go with Jamar Chase, Travis Kelce, a little back and forth. Just be careful, Jamar. There's, like I said, certain guys you don't go after, and you went after the biggest one. So we'll see if that motivates Mahomes at all. I'm sure that he will have that circled as a quote in his locker at some point this season. All right, the blind ice cream rankings, then we'll get out of here. If you don't know how blind rankings work, basically I'm just going to give an ice cream flavor to Zach and Ziggy. They will then rank it from 1 to 5 without knowing the next flavor. So they're trying to perfect the list as I'm giving out random flavors without knowing the next one. So, and
unlike certain folks on TikTok, this has not been shared with me in advance. I genuinely have no idea what's coming, except that I told Paul to make me look bad. Yeah. So he's being a little devious over here right now. Zach
doesn't know either. Zach has no idea. So here we go. The first one, guys. The first ice cream in the blind rankings. Rocky Road.
5.
5.
I hate Rocky Road.
It can't be 5, Ziggy, just because you hate it.
I don't like it.
Ziggy says it can't get worse than Rocky Road, which I think Rocky Road's a great ice cream.
See, I'm gonna put
it's my dad's favorite flavor.
On his birthday, you put it at 5. You son of a bitch.
I'm gonna put it at 3 because
it's a great starting point.
We have to think of it as the people. Ziggy's thinking of himself. He's not thinking as the people.
No.
Yeah.
We're not thinking like the people. We're making a ranking. And I want to make the objectively correct ranking. And the fact is Rocky Road is just not that good.
Yeah. So 3 for you, Zach?
Yeah.
I like that. I like setting the bar with the first one at 3. You leave some options for above and below. Okay.
I've also never had Rocky Road in my life, but it's going to be 3.
How is like all of these?
How do you not have Rocky Road?
It's like you haven't seen Rocky. You haven't had Rocky Road. It's
I haven't been to the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah. All of these like drafts and rankings that we do, like you haven't like seen half the things.
I don't know what to tell you.
You learned some shocking things about your friends.
Yeah, I mean, especially Zach on this show.
Yeah.
But at least we're getting that smooth mic sound right now. So okay. Number 2. Butter pecan. Pecan?
Oh, that's 5. That's 100%
shoot,
5.
I should have left 5 open.
Yeah.
Oh man.
See, Ziggy, you didn't think of the people.
But on the other hand, though, I mean, pecan's a nut. It's way better than all the nuts they put in Rocky Road. So I'll take a 4 there. I'll take a 4 there. Okay. I'll take a 4.
You know, I think butter. Is it pecan or pecan? Pecan. What do you guys say?
Pecan pie.
I worry in Virginia, because we're a borderline southern state. This is actually a topic of high animosity discussion. I'm not engaging in this because my students will rip into me if
I
they see
say
it.
pecan pie, but I think I say butter pecan ice cream, which is kind of weird, but we'll live with it. Okay.
I'd have it the other way around.
Interesting.
Sorry, I don't like nuts in my mouth, so it's okay.
Okay. All right,
You put Rocky Road at 3.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we'll go on to the third ice cream. Coffee ice cream.
That's 4. That's 4 in my book.
That's a strong 2.
All right. So
Only
now,
because I think you're hiding something good. Coffee ice cream. I don't like coffee at all. I love coffee ice cream.
right now we have coffee at 2 for Ziggy, butter pecan at 4, and there we go. I just said pecan.
I like how you said we had a great palate. Yeah. I've never had coffee or ice cream. I've never had pecan ice cream. And I've never had Rocky Road ice cream.
Yeah, 5 Rocky Road. For Zach, he has 3 Rocky Road, 4 coffee, 5 butter pecan. Pecan. All right, next up, chocolate chip mint.
Oh, I should have left that 5 spot open. All right, put it at 3.
Zach is stunned. Are you on camera right now, Zach?
Sorry. Let me change it. Toothpaste ice cream. Where would you put it? That's what it's just a roll of toothpaste
Zach
with some
is
sugar.
Stunned right now. All right, so
I gotta put it at 2 or 1. This is gonna be the struggle. I don't know what this last one is gonna be for you.
You have chocolate chip mint at 3, right?
I wish I had it at 5. It's just toothpaste. It's actually just toothpaste.
You're out of your mind.
All right, Zach. One or 2.
So I'm gonna put it at 2 because I'm gonna guess your last one has got to be cookie dough.
It is not cookie dough.
Oh, it's gonna be like
Zach and I are both forced to put this last one at 1.
Yeah. So your number 1 ice cream, I think you'll be okay with it. Cookies and cream.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I would have put 1.
Yeah.
All right. So there we go. Honestly, not that bad from you guys.
Oh, no.
Yeah, maybe.
Not bad from me. From Ziggy. Ziggy's off the rails.
Ziggy is a little... I mean, I love coffee ice cream as well. I'd probably have it not at the 2 spot, I don't think. But here's what we have. Ziggy, cookies and cream, coffee, chocolate chip mint, butter pecan, Rocky Road. I love how I'm just switching pecan and pecan each time. Zach, cookies and cream, chocolate chip mint, Rocky Road, coffee, butter pecan.
Yeah, there's no way. If this was like a competition, I blew Ziggy out of the road with this.
I mean, I guess we can make it a competition. I would probably say, I would probably give it to Zach in this one. Yes.
Ziggy,
I guess you guys just like toothpaste. Okay,
bro, it's good.
People loved
chocolate chip mint is like
the general crowd. Again, that's not what Ziggy was going off of at all.
Yeah.
It seems Zach was basing his list more off of the general population than maybe himself. Although that would line up with what you like as well, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I
am the general population.
Yeah,
so.
you are.
On the fact that I don't have...
All right, so there you go. There are your blind rankings. I kind of like those. Maybe we could do a few more in the future. If you have any fun topics, send them out in the comment section. We'd love to get some ideas. It's hard to generate these random ideas sometimes. All right, there you go. Jamar Chase pokes the bear, random ice cream flavors, top 10 teams with the most pressure on them, and of course, a little NFC North rant because we're Vikings fans. We gotta squeeze that in when we can. Skull. All right, thanks for listening to this episode of the Paul Farrington Show. We will see you on Thursday with our next episode. Thanks for listening.